Welcome to the second game of Week 1, NFL Week 1. The Kansas City Chiefs, the loser of the past Super Bowl against the Eagles, will travel to Brazil to be the road team. They are a 3-point favorite currently against the Chargers, who will act as the home team. The Chargers +3 in South America. In Brazil. The Kansas City Chiefs, of course, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, good coaching staff across the board, just pretty solid. Serviceable defense that tends to get it done. You look at Pacheco coming back. You look at Xavier Worthy, the speed demon. Hollywood Brown will be back. He missed pretty much the whole year last year. But Juju Smith-Schuster has not been productive. He's long in the tooth. Travis Kelce, his production dropped off a year ago as well. On the defensive side of the ball, Chris Jones, one of the best defensive players in football to this day. That's still exciting. The Chargers always play the Chiefs tough. They always do. The Chargers have a more exciting sort of we've rebuilt this thing and now here we come type of atmosphere going on, type of Justin Herbert and Hampton and McConkey. Those are all three young good players. Najee Harris blew his eye off in a 4th of July firecracker accident or something, so Hampton will get the start at running back Week 1 here, and he will probably remain, pending on how he does, the starter. But for me, it comes down to the Chargers defense this year for them to be successful. I think it's going to depend on, can they get pressure on the quarterback? Can they? I mean, Khalil Mack and Derwin James are still pretty studdish. I mean, Derwin James, of course, is a stud. Khalil Mack had a massive drop off a year ago. He had 17 sacks in the 23 season, just 6 a year ago, and he did play every game. So I know a lot of people have written off Khalil Mack, but it'll be interesting to see if he can, bounce back and have one more great year to sort of push the Chargers over the edge. But I think the Chiefs here, too many unanswered questions. We haven't seen how everything comes together for the Chargers yet. Of course, they got blown out in the playoffs by the Texans a year ago. That was their last game. Maybe a sour taste in their mouth, but they traveled to Brazil. I'm going to take the proven KC Chiefs in this game minus the 3 points. And that's the way it is for now until I see that the Chargers can be productive. And they could beat anyone probably with that roster, but we need to see some consistency out of the Chargers moving forward. And against a team like the Chiefs, I think it's a risky pick to take the Chargers, especially international play. So we'll go with the Chiefs in this one. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals, the line was -6.5 for the Bengals. It's now -5.5, so it's actually moved in the Cleveland Browns' favor. A lot of money going on the Browns. That must mean I don't think that matters here. I think it's just an interesting game. The Bengals and the Browns matchup every year is always difficult to predict. Divisional rivalry, Ohio. It's just one of those things. I mean, the bottom line is you have Joe Burrow, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Jamar Chase Brown, just a good, skill player positions. The offensive line has underperformed, to say the least. Orlando Brown Jr. not living up to the hype, in my opinion. You have the Bengals, the offense that needs to keep Joe Burrow upright. Even though last year it didn't seem to matter, he still had a ton of passing yards. But obviously, the more you protect Joe, the better off you're going to be, for the Bengals here. And the defense is just bad. One of the worst defenses in the league a year ago. They do bring back Hendrickson on a huge deal. On the flip side, the Browns are one of the weirdest quarterback rooms I've ever seen. Joe Flacco, Gabriel, Shitter Sanders, Watson's still there. So weird. I don't know about this offense. The offensive line's not bad, but they're probably underperforming in a lot of ways as well. Defensively for the Browns, the real key to this game is Myles Garrett. I mean, the Browns' defense isn't bad. Denzel Ward is a guy I really like. Grant Delpit I really like. Greg Newsome, the other corner, I like him as well. But here's the deal. I mean, if Myles Garrett can get to the quarterback, Joe Burrow, disrupt that game, he has the ability to take over this entire game. And if he can do that, then the Browns will be successful and they can cover that spread. But I think the Browns are a mess. I think they just look like a disaster still. I don't think this is going to be a good year for them again, unfortunately, if you're a Browns guy. I'm taking the Bengals here minus the 5.5. I think they protect Joe Burrow enough and the offense scores enough points, and the Browns just ultimately can't keep up. The New York Giants, everyone, come into Washington to face the Commanders. The Giants are +6 on the road. The Commanders -6 at home. And the Giants have new look with quarterback Russell Wilson. Frankly, anything's better than Daniel Jones. But Russell Wilson, we'll see. I mean, he could definitely air it out a little bit. I think at some point here we will see whether it's Jameis Winston or Jackson Dart. I do think that Wilson probably will not be the quarterback for the entire season, but that, of course, remains to be seen. We will see if Malik Neighbors can get going here. Highly touted wide receiver, had a fantastic year last season. The offense is very questionable, though, still. Really don't know what we're going to get. Don't know if they're going to be able to run the football or protect or what's going to happen with the quarterback position. The Giants' strength definitely relies on defense. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and Thibodeau, those three pass rushers, I expect to get combined roughly 27 sacks this year. I think the Giants have a fantastic defense, and they get to the quarterback. And I think they have the recipe to beat the Commanders, even as that big of a dog. Jaden Daniels, I mean, coming into your second year, very solid rookie season. Very difficult to duplicate that type of rookie season in year two. We saw it from C.J. Stroud, the potential for drop-off, especially when there's questions on the offensive line with, penalty machine Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. And, they do bring in Deebo Samuel, which is exciting. They still have, Scary Terry McLaurin, which is cool. Austin Eckler's a little old, and Croxy Merritt is, pretty much just the unknown here. But the defense for the Commanders is, nothing really that overly special. Bobby Wagner getting old. Incredible to see that he's still playing at a high level. They do add Von Miller. I don't think Von Miller will be that much of an impact for this defense, but that remains to be seen. They do have Marshawn Lattimore at corner, who is a pretty good player still. So we'll see what happens. But ultimately, I like the Giants to come in and to be able to contain Jaden Daniels in this game and ultimately win this game, even though they are a 6-point dog on the road. I do love the Commanders. I love Jaden Daniels. Really hard to duplicate the type of success that he had a year ago, I think. But that will remain to be seen. The pick is the Giants +6. You could even take a money line. The Cardinals of Arizona travel to the New Orleans Saints, and the Cardinals are a 6.5-point favorite on the road, which is a massive line, and it's probably telling of how bad that people are expecting the Saints to be. The Cardinals come in with Kyler Murray still as their quarterback and an aging James Conner with Trey Benson sitting there waiting to potentially take over, if not this year, then potentially next year. Marvin Harrison Jr. is young, and there's a lot of hype around that name, obviously, with his father, but he's a pretty good player, and we'll see how he develops. Trey McBride is an excellent tight end as well. The Cardinals pretty much return their same offense there. They do add Josh Sweat, former Eagle, a great pass rusher, so that can only help them and get after it. Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan, he's here now. Budda Baker's a guy I really like. The Cardinals are built pretty well at this point, and they should definitely have success against a Saint team led by Spencer Rattler. Rattler played 7 games a year ago. He sort of inherited a team that wasn't playing well. 7 games, I think he threw 4 touchdowns and 5 picks. Not a very good outing the back end of last year for Rattler. Alvin Kamara, he's getting old. Chris Olave, he's battled injuries. Rashid Shaheed was out for the whole year last year. Brandon Cooks is getting old. The offensive line for the Saints, not very good. The defense for the Saints is the bright spot. If you're a Saint guy or a Saint fan, Cameron Jordan, Godsha is pretty good. Chase Young, let's see, Kool-Aid McKinstry is a stud. So, there is some bright spots on the Saints defense. But ultimately here, I don't think Spencer Rattler can move the ball. I don't think he'll be protected. I think he's surrounded by a ragtag group of aging players that, it's going to be a struggle for this team, especially offensively, to stay healthy, I believe. Defense can keep him in the game, but I think the Cardinals can blow him out. And I like the Cardinals in this game, minus the 6.5. Week 1, always questionable. Pump the brakes a little bit on that one, but it's at the same time, I don't see the Saints being overly competitive in this one. I think that the Cardinals can win by 2 scores. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Atlanta. Atlanta plus 2.5 at home, Tampa Bay minus 2.5 on the road. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team really runs through Baker Mayfield. There's no question about that at this point. Baker Mayfield has been absolutely fantastic ever since sort of being a journeyman. He's come into the league, or excuse me, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now for the last 2 years, and he's absolutely dominated with them. Over 8,000 passing yards in 2 years. And what has he got? He's got 69 touchdowns for Tampa in those 2 years, which is just ridiculous. Only 26 picks. So yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield has been fantastic. Obviously, they still have Mike Evans, who is one of the best receivers of all time, and there's no really debating that. They have a good young Egbuka receiver coming in. I like Cade Otton. Tristan Wirfs on the line. The left tackle is one of the best tackles in the NFL. The defense leaves a little bit to be desired, but they do have some good veteran leadership. Rushing the passer might be an issue this year because really all they seem to have is Hassan Reddick. I don't think that's enough to get it done. I expect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to continue to be in shootout mode in a lot of games. The Atlanta Falcons are a team that are right on the borderline of ready to pop off. I mean, the offense is loaded with weapons. Bijan Robinson and Drake London, over 1,000 yards a year ago. It was fantastic. Kyle Pitts never really materialized. We're waiting to see if he does. There are some good, really tough players on their offensive line. Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback, in his second year is going to be the big unknown. Not a fantastic outing last year. 5 games, only 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, 775 yards in 5 games played for Penix. But the defense for the Falcons is questionable. They have a nice young safety in Watts, who I don't know how much he's going to contribute, but ultimately this Falcon team, they have the weapons on offense. If the quarterback can take strides, they could be good. But I think too many unanswered questions at this point, even though I am excited for Atlanta and their future. I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, minus the 2.5 on the road this week. I think that is the correct pick. The Pittsburgh Steelers travel to New York, MetLife Stadium, to take on the New York Jets. The Jets at home +3, the Steelers on the road -3. So a Steeler team on the road is the favorite. The Jets at home are the dog. And this has all kinds of interesting storylines with the quarterbacks of these two teams. Rodgers, former Jet quarterback, now on the Steelers. Former Steelers quarterback Justin Fields, now on the Jets. That's very interesting. If you take a look here at the stats from a year ago, you can see how poor that Justin Fields in particular was as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Only 1,100 yards, only played 10 games. Justin Fields has not played a full season. I mean, this guy can't stay healthy, can't play a full year. Barely eclipsing 2,000 yards twice. This guy's just not that good. Now he's a starting quarterback of a Jet team that isn't that good, unless they run the football heavily and find success in that way. I think that's the only way they'll be successful. They do have an interesting wide receiver, Garrett Wilson, who makes acrobatic catches, and he's fantastic. But they need to get back to running the football with Breece Hall. And if they can do that, then they might be able to find some success. On the flip side, though, however, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is absolutely fantastic. Loaded studs across the board. TJ Watt, one of the best players in the NFL. Patrick Queen's a great linebacker. Joey Porter Jr. is exciting. Jalen Ramsey's there. Darius Slay is there. Just across the board, the Steelers have a great D, and I don't think the Jets are going to be able to find success against that defense whatsoever. It will be interesting to see if Aaron Rodgers, of course, can get things going. As a Steeler, he has Metcalf as a weapon. He has, a pretty good line. Jonnu Smith waiting in the wings, who broke out last year. That could be an interesting target for him. But the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road -3. I love the Steelers in this game. I think it's a lower scoring game, of course, and I think the Steelers do enough to beat the Jets at MetLife Stadium, no problem. I do think the Jets can be solid around team, but they're going to have to figure. Justin Fields is going to have to get it together. I mean, I think this could be. We're going to see Tyrod Taylor at some point this season, or they're going to sign a free agent because I just don't see Justin Fields. I mean, he gets depromoted every place he goes. It's the Steelers are the easy pick in this one. The Miami Dolphins +1.5 at the Indianapolis Colts -1.5. The Dolphins led by Tua Tagovailoa, who is one hit away from literally having a really bad day. I am nervous for him. A lot of bravery and courage to continue his career here. Every man can do what they will. I hope Tua has a nice healthy season. He's got a lot of weapons around him, Chen and Hill, and Jalen Waddle. Darren Waller, after a year of retirement, has come out of retirement to play tight end for the Dolphins. That's interesting. I do like the Dolphins roster. The defense is actually pretty good as well. Chop Robinson, Bradley Chubb, Matt Judon, the edge there. Minka Fitzpatrick comes over for Jalen Ramsey. Storm Duck, one of the coolest names on the team. That being said, the Dolphins, I do expect them to be able to move the football. I think it could be an exciting year for the Dolphins if they can get it together this season. On the flip side, they are playing the Colts. The Colts, Jonathan Taylor's a great running back. We like Jonathan Taylor a lot. Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs, the wide receivers, even Alec Pierce. I mean, this has been a pretty steady core now for a couple of years, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. The big question mark for me is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones at the quarterback position. Well, let's be honest. He's absolutely awful. He's had a terrible career thus far. Really high pick that just did not materialize for the Giants. Some of those problems may have been with the Giants, but I think a lot of it is just Daniel Jones. I don't think I can take a Daniel Jones team, even a favorite at home. I'm definitely on the Dolphins in this game. I think that Daniel Jones is just not going to be able to throw the ball. I mean, nothing's changed. I mean, look, a year ago in 10 games, 8 touchdowns, 7 picks. The year before in 2023, 2 touchdowns, 6 picks. I mean, his only good year was really his first season with the Giants, is that rookie year. And I mean, since then, it's been ugly, guys. So, I mean, even though he has a couple of good receivers and the offensive line is okay and the running attack is there, their defense is still porous with even though Franklin's a good tackle machine, he does miss tackles. I like DeForest Buckner as a plugger, but I mean, there's just not enough for this team to be highly successful this year. I think in this game, the Miami Dolphins can run up the score, and I like them +1.5 on the road here. That's the clear choice for me. I have them big by more than 2 scores. The Las Vegas Raiders come to the New England Patriots. The Patriots at home -3. The Raiders on the road +3, going across country to play on the East Coast. Last year they came across country and beat the Ravens in a huge upset. So they are known to do that from time to time. I'm going to make this quick as far as the Raiders go. Pretty much a porous lineup across the board, other than these studs like Max Crosby or the Brock Bowers, and everyone's really excited about Ashton Jeanty. So we will see what happens. I think for the most part, this is a team that it has a lot of holes, but has some studs, has some playmakers that can make Raider games exciting this season. So this is going to be an exciting one to watch. On the flip side of things, New England, I really do like New England's defense. I think they played pretty well last year. I love the quarterback, Drake May. I think he's going to be ready to make the next step. I think a 1-2 punch with Stevenson and Henderson could be really good. And I think Stephon Diggs could be a great addition to this squad. Overall, I like the Patriots a lot. I think the Patriots at home -3 is a good pick. I think this is a better team overall. And even though the Raiders could be involved with some splash exciting plays, I like the Patriots to get it done in a close game, low-scoring, close game in New England. The Carolina Panthers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are a 3.5-point favorite at home. And frankly, this game, a battle between the expansion teams of years past. A couple of cats running around. But the Panthers, for me, I just don't like the Panthers. I don't really like anything about them. I like J.C. Horn as corner. That's about it. I'm not a big fan of Bryce Young. I really don't think this team is going to be very successful this year. I don't think their defense is going to be good. I don't think their offense is going to be good. I think this team is just going to be maybe one of the worst teams in the NFL, alongside maybe the Saints. On the flip side of that, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars do have a little bit more hope than the Panthers. I think the Jags, with Trevor Lawrence, he's been around long enough now where it's time for him to figure it out. If he doesn't, then it's probably time for them to move on from him. Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, a dynamic wide receiver pairing for the Jaguars, could really create some problems for defenses. We'll see how that plays out. Travis Etienne Jr., not overly hyped about him, but Tank Bigsby I do like in that spell role. We'll see. And he's more of a bruiser, but we'll see what happens with that. I like the Jaguars at home minus the 3.5. I think they have a better defense than the Panthers, even though their defense isn't that good. But we'll see what happens. I think the Jaguars win this game and get it done. The Tennessee Titans go to Mile High Stadium. They are plus 7.5, 8.5 against the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos at home, minus 8.5. Taking a look at the Tennessee Titans depth chart, not a whole lot to love other than the fact that they do bring in the number 1 draft pick, Cam Ward, out of Miami to play quarterback. And that is very exciting. Anytime you get a number 1 draft choice, especially to play quarterback, especially to try to change your entire franchise, be the franchise guy, that is exciting. So other than that, though, a mediocre defense and some holes in the offense here. Some good players on the O-line. Tyler Lockett at wide receiver has been around a while. I do like him, and Calvin Ridley is the stud wideout on their team. Tony Pollard, kind of hit or miss at running back. We will have to see what happens with the Titans, but it'll be interesting to see if they can get anything going. What's Cam Ward going to be like in his first game? I'm really not sure exactly what this offense is going to be like. We'll have to wait and see. On the flip side of things, the Denver Broncos have one of the most complete teams in all of football. They are probably, roster-wise on paper and in the trenches, a top 5 NFL team in my opinion. I look for them to make gigantic strides this season. Their defense is just fantastically built. They got good secondary. They got good front seven. Zach Allen is incredible at that lefty end position. Bo Nix, young quarterback, looking for him to make some strides forward again this year. Cortland Sutton, he's been around and he's been productive. So, and I do like their offensive line a lot. I think the Broncos at home here. I know it's 8.5 points. It's a lot of points. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. But rookie quarterback in that atmosphere. The Denver Broncos need to go out there and take care of business this week, and I think they do just that. I think they win by a large margin here. And that's the way it's got to be if the Broncos are going to be the team that we think they're going to be. They can't struggle at home against a rookie quarterback, and overall just a poor team. So the pick is the Broncos minus the 8.5. The San Francisco 49ers come into Seattle against the 12th man as a 3-point favorite. The Seahawks are plus 3 at home. Looking at this game is very interesting. Division rivalry. The primary thing to look at here is, of course, the health of Christian McCaffrey. I think, listen, when we talk about San Fran and what they're going to be able to do, it all comes back to Christian McCaffrey. And I think if he's healthy, then this team could be very successful. If he's not, then you're going to have to rely on Brian Robinson Jr., even Guriendo. So I think it'll take the pressure off Brock Purdy. The Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall wide receiver core is okay. George Kittle still good. But the offensive line, especially Trent Williams, getting a little older, getting a little long in the tooth, so to speak. They do have a good pass rush with Mikael Williams and Nick Bosa. Fred Warner at middle linebacker is awesome. The secondary is a little fringe. Looking at Seattle's squad, they bring in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's success will be based a lot off of the running game. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, get things cooking, and I think they will. I like Seattle's defense and offense. I think they complement each other well, and if they play, solid football around the board, they should be able to be successful. It's going to come down to how good Sam Darnold carries this team, though. And ultimately, the defense is kind of a middle of the road defense, but the secondary is very strong. So the secondary of the Seahawks I really like. If they can stop the run and get pressure on the quarterback, the Seahawks might be a really good team this year. We'll have to wait and see. In this game, +3 at home for the Seahawks. I like the Seahawks to get a win here. I just think the San Francisco 49ers are a little banged up, and ultimately we really don't know what's going to happen with them. I mean, they've been really good. Brock Purdy, kind of hit or miss. Christian McCaffrey, can he stay healthy? That's the big question mark for me. He's had a couple of good years. Last year he was out almost the whole year. The year before, or actually the 2 years before that, he had a really good showing. But I do like the Seahawks in this game for some reason, just to get it done on a gut instinct. No special thing there. Just I think the Birds get it done. All right, let's get into one of the biggest games of the week. This week, the Detroit Lions, +2.5, travel to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. The Packers at home, -2.5. This is an extremely exciting rivalry game. Two teams that are on the precipice of being extremely good. And, it all starts with Detroit with Jared Goff. Jared Goff has been fantastic. He threw for over 4,000 yards, I believe, 3 seasons in a row now for the Lions. And he's been, piling up the touchdowns and keeping the interceptions down. The running backs for the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs is just an absolute speed stud. David Montgomery has been a touchdown machine. Amon-Ra St. Brown is fantastic. This offense just really hums. I know there's some turnover and questions on the offensive line, but this team has been very good for the last couple of years. And with the return of Aiden Hutchinson on defense, they look to get back to form defensively, and he can definitely provide the spark that they need after missing the majority of the year a year ago. On the flip side, the Green Bay Packers, led by quarterback Jordan Love, got the big contract. Jordan Love has been, when he was waiting in the wings there, when Aaron Rodgers was still here, those first 2 seasons didn't get a lot of playing time, but the last 2 years he has thrown for over 7,000 yards total. I believe he has 57 passing touchdowns in the regular season and only 22 picks in those 2 seasons. So he's actually been extremely good. 11 interceptions. Yes, 11 interceptions in each of the last 2 seasons for Jordan Love. But looking at Green Bay's offense as a whole, Josh Jacobs is really the guy that they were lacking, and by bringing him in, he's been able to really balance this offense. Matt Golden is a very exciting wide receiver prospect here that joins the Packers this year, and ultimately this offense, it should be pretty good. A lot of receiver options for them. It's their defense that continues to improve. Of course, they add Micah Parsons recently here, which only can help that defense and help push them over the edge. So this is all very, very exciting stuff for really both these teams. And the Packers at Lambeau here. I like the Packers in this game. I think the Packers a home favorite minus the 2.5. I like a low-scoring game in this one. I think Jordan Love and the Packers run the ball and are able to survive at home here against a Lion team. A lot of people thought the Lions would be the favorite in this game, but I like the Packers in this one at Lambeau Field. The Packers minus the 2.5. The Houston Texans +3 at the LA Rams. Los Angeles Rams -3 at home. Really for the Houston Texans, the AFC South, and maybe for the AFC, so much depends on what happens with the Houston Texans offensive line, because if this line can pull things together, this can be one of the best teams in the NFL. But if it continues to not be good, such as last year, they're going to have real trouble. I mean, Stroud had a lot of trouble staying upright, and it was just miserable. The other question mark here for the Texans, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is a big question mark. What's happening with him? Is he going to be healthy enough? Is he going to return to form? That's huge. And how does the offensive line play in front of him? So there are some questions right now for the Texans, but they do have an incredible defense. Will Anderson Jr. and Hunter, the bookends, and Derek Stingley Jr., one of my favorite players in the NFL. I do love the Texans. I hope they can figure it out. I think C.J. Stroud might be able to do it, and I wish the best for Nick Chubb. And if Mixon can get back in in the mix, man, it could be a good fun year for the Texans. But until I see that from the offensive line of the Texans, the success, I'm not sure we're there yet. On the flip side here for the LA Rams, Matt Stafford, perennial, just incredible quarterback. I like the Kyron Williams. He is fantastic. Puka Nacua, of course. They add Devontae Adams. This team offensively should be able to buzz a little bit. Tough matchup, of course, with the Texans, so that should be kind of kept in check. Same thing for the Texans offense against the Rams defense. I think with that line not being that good, the Rams should be able to generate pressure. I think this game will be a very low-scoring game, actually. I think it'll be a slow game, kind of a boring game in a lot of ways, a little bit of a chess match, but I like the Rams minus the 3. I have them winning by 4 right now in a very low-scoring game against the Texans here. The Rams at home to survive is my pick. Sunday night football, the Baltimore Ravens head to Buffalo. The Ravens are plus 1.5 on the road. The Bills minus 1.5 at home. And this one is a battle of, epic proportions. Really, this is definitely the game of the week. This one's exciting. Battle between the last 2 NFL MVPs, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. It's just a good game top to bottom. Both teams are pretty good offensively, obviously, and defensively they're both pretty good too. I would actually give the edge to the Ravens. I think if we look at their depth chart here, you can take a look and see how good their defense really is with the linebacker Roquan Smith and Malachi Stark's a new addition. I love Kyle Hamilton. Jair Alexander, an incredible corner. Marlon Humphrey still there as well. So really across the board for the Ravens on defense, they look good. Offense is pretty much the same. They do add DeAndre Hopkins. Bateman was coming along last year, getting involved more heavily in the offense. Zay Flowers is developing. Derrick Henry is an absolute beast. And Lamar Jackson, of course. The Buffalo Bills on the offense runs through Josh Allen. There's no question there. His favorite target is Khalil Shakir. And James Cook, he did sign, so he'll play. That's good news for the Bills. The Bills do have a good offensive line, and the defense, they have a lot of good pass rushers that can get at the quarterback. Matt Milano back from injury. That's good news. So we'll see what happens. Trey White, a little banged up. Looks like he's good to go, though, for this week. We'll see. I think the key to this game is not necessarily the Lamar versus Josh Allen matchup. I think it's, can the Bills stop Derrick Henry? That seems to have been the issue in the past. And that's the real question. But I like the Ravens on the road here in Week 1. The Bills, I do love the Bills. If you don't know, I'm a Bills fan. I have season tickets. I go to the games. I think that if the Bills stumble, it will be in Week 1, and I'd rather see them stumble early on than later on in the season. I do think it's a fairly close game, a little bit lower scoring than people think. I think the over-under is somewhere around 50 at this point. I would take the under, but I like the Ravens to survive this one and get a win in Buffalo. Monday Night Football, the Minnesota Vikings come to Chicago to face the Bears. The Bears are plus 1.5 at home. The Vikings, a 1.5 point road favorite here on Monday Night Football. The Vikings have had some success in recent years. They did draft J.J. McCarthy a year ago, and he was injured for the entire season, so he pretty much did not have any opportunity to play his rookie season. He will get the start in this game and start his career here in Minnesota on Monday Night Football in Chicago. Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in the NFL, of course, and due to Jordan Addison's suspension, Adam Thielen was brought back by the Vikings. That's kind of a fun little twist. That being said, Harrison Smith on the defense, getting a little older, but still a good player. I do still like Harrison Smith. Andrew Van Ginkel, also a good player for Minnesota. The Chicago Bears returned Caleb Williams at quarterback out of USC for his second season. He had a pretty good first year, actually. I mean, the inconsistency was there. 62.5 completion percentage for him, 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Only this 6 interceptions, that's pretty good. He does not turn the ball over. We look forward to making strides. Caleb Williams can make big strides this year for Chicago, so I do think that's interesting. Going into Chicago's weapons on offense, I mean, they do have weapons. I mean, a lot of young players. Adunze, Burden 3, the new draft pick. Loveland, the new draft pick. So that's good. They do add Joe Thuney as well. They have a really good linebackers in Edmonds and Edwards. This could be a much better team for the Bears this year than we think or anticipate. I like the Chicago Bears at home in this game to get a win and get off on the right foot here. There is a little bit of hype on J.J. McCarthy, but I think it's more likely that we're going to see Caleb Williams take the next step in his sophomore year. But we'll see what happens. Chicago Bears plus the 1.5. I have them by 3. That's my pick.